Good afternoon. Welcome. Is there anyone in here? No, I don't see anyone yet. I guess I should wait for students to enter, right?
Maybe so.
Well, some didn't matter. They kind of went ahead and did it since it was recording and going to be posted. And then if students just jump in.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, so we can go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, counselors and students. We want to welcome you to the session this afternoon. I just have a few housekeeping notes to tell you all. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A button. There'll be somebody who is monitoring that and answering your questions throughout the presentation. This presentation is also being recorded, so if you'd like to come back to it, please know that you can do that at oacac.org. And also your cameras and your microphones are turned off. They will not be able to be turned back on. But if you also would like to sign up for some additional sessions, we encourage you to do so at oacac.org as well. I hope you all enjoy the presentation, and I will turn it over to your presenters this afternoon.
Okay, what I'm going to do is share my screen with you all before we get started. And hopefully that worked. So welcome to today's presentation. We're super excited that you've decided to join us or watch this after the fact. We're super excited to be with you today. Our panel presentation is to provide you guys with a greater insight and details on LandGrant Institutions. So what they are, why they're founded, and what opportunities they have to provide students like yourself. Today, you're going to be hearing from a multitude of different institutions from Auburn University, Mississippi State University, and the Ohio State University. So we decided to come together when the opportunity presented itself to provide you guys with some educational knowledge on what this opportunity can do for you. So before we get started, just some housekeeping things. Please feel free to utilize the Q&A function throughout the course of the presentation, and we will definitely be keeping an eye on that. And we'll be sure to address some of those questions towards the end of the panel presentation. So before moving forward, I definitely want to take the opportunity to provide you guys with some proper introductions to each panelist. And so I'll go first, and then I'll allow the other two institutions to provide themselves. So my name is Grant Nairn. I am the Assistant Director of Recruitment at Mississippi State University. I've been with the university for 6 years. I'm regionally based in Washington, D.C., and I oversee recruitment for the East Coast and some of the Midwest. So that includes you guys in Ohio. I'm super excited to be with you all today, and you're in for a real treat.
Hey everyone, my name is Katie Morgan. I am, just a little bit about me, actually originally from Auburn. I am currently here in Auburn working remotely. It's normally pretty, not so much right now with Hurricane Sally having passed through yesterday. No damage, just lots and lots of rain. But from here, went to the university, graduated twice from the university. I'm back in school for a third round, and this is technically what we like to call in the business travel season, but I don't think a lot of us are doing physical traveling, but it's my 5th travel season. I work with students from Tennessee, Massachusetts, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, so really glad to be here virtually with all of you today.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Thomas Giles, and I currently serve as the Assistant Director of Outreach and Recruitment at The Ohio State University. I have been at the university for a couple of years now, and I am not from Ohio. I have, my travel territory consists of Central Ohio, so I have the Hilliard District, Olentangy, Dublins, and Worthingtons, and some of our parochial schools, and Columbus City Schools. So I'm really centrally located. I am excited to join my colleagues from Mississippi State and Auburn to give you a good background on how the three of us and many of our colleagues across the country are serving as land-grant institutions.
So with that, we do want to start off with what in the world's land-grant, and part of that is a brief history lesson. I'll tell you this, I have never considered myself much of a history buff, and my grades in my history courses all through growing up would tell you that. But the more and more I have lived, if you will, has helped me realize that we can't really know where we are if we don't know where we've been. So to that point, Hopefully I can make this as quick and simple, but also exciting as possible when it comes to the history lesson of what land-grant institutions are. So let's go back in time. We all know, we've all learned about colonies and how the United States was founded. So colonies kind of started up in the 1600s, and each colony kind of wanted to brag a little bit. And the way they bragged, probably multiple ways, but at least for us, they created a college. They had colonial colleges. The first one was actually called New College, and it was founded in 1636. You may know now that is Harvard University. And so these institutions were really the beacon of the colony. They were both bragging rights as well as a way for the colonies to educate the future civic and religious leaders of their colonies. And so that was really what it was all about for about 200 years. It was really just reserved education for the most elite, and that was young, rich, white men. Like I said, that was for nearly 2 centuries. It was education for the elite. Now fast forward to the Morrill Land Grant Act of 1862, and things changed a little bit. So essentially, here's some context. Again, more historical context. 1862, Abraham Lincoln is president. You've also got, we are smack dab in the middle of the Civil War. The Emancipation Proclamation was actually signed the same year as this act was written. So big year for our country. It was all about the United States government giving each state land to build a college. And the intent was to help serve the state that it was founded in. And to educate the citizens of that state. So it's not just education for the elite, but education for many, not everybody, but it was kind of opening the doors a little bit wider for more folks to be taught at a higher level. Educating the citizens in that time often meant agriculture and mechanics. So you'll find that land grants, often our previous names were somehow agricultural and mechanical based, and our majors were often based in that. But we've grown a lot, and you'll learn more about that as we go along. And it's all about solving real world problems. So just keep that in mind as we go throughout the process. Now, fast forward to extensions in 1890. That's how the historically Black colleges and universities were founded. In 1994, Native colleges as well. So it's really land grants serving everyone in the country and trying to make education accessible for all.
All right. As Katie mentioned, and thank you, Katie, for giving that history as we were talking about this, I am not a history buff either. However, this has been really fun to highlight what this looks like from a historical purpose and then kind of fast forward through time to give you this information this afternoon. And I also wanted to acknowledge that we recognize that a majority of you may be sitting at home on your laptop or even in your classroom building and eating lunch. So thank you for spending about 45-ish minutes with us this afternoon learning about this. So you see a nice map here. The original 1862 land-grant institutions totaled about 57. 19 were added in 1890, and that was the historically Black colleges and universities that Katie mentioned. And then another 36 were added in 1994 and established all over the country, as you can see in those small black dots on the map there. There's also an association of public and land-grant universities. There's a website called aplu.org that is committed to research, policy, and advocacy organization dedicated to strengthening and advancing work of public universities in the US, Canada, and Mexico. Today, there are over 1.1 million students graduating from land-grant institutions annually. As we continue to unpack the role of these institutions, my colleagues and I hope that you leave today's webinar with a deeper understanding of what it means to attend and graduate from a land-grant institution. Many students, before they enroll at an institution, are not even aware that they are attending a land-grant institution. Shame on us for not even doing a better job of telling our students about that. You will most certainly hear this language on campus visits and tours of these institutions, my colleagues and many across the country. For my visual learners today, we highlighted our specific geographical locations on this beautiful map. As you can see, Ohio State, Mississippi State, and Auburn. Now, Not to brag, but we think these three institutions are extremely special. Next, you're going to hear from my colleagues and their respected institutions.
All right, so lots of similarities, as we've kind of alluded to already, between the three of us, but we do want to highlight each of our institutions individually. So I'll go ahead and get started with Auburn. We are located in Auburn, Alabama, which I'm glad that the map was there on the last slide, so you know where we are, about an hour and a half south of the Atlanta airport. I use that as a frame of reference too. About 2 hours south of Birmingham in the other direction, about 3.5 hours north of the beach. So pretty nice triangle to be in the middle of. Now, when it comes to the area, I'd definitely say Auburn, the city itself, is suburban. So not rural, not urban, kind of somewhere in between, with about 75,000 citizens. And you have got about 30,000 students total on campus. And the undergraduate population, as you can see, is about 25,000 students. Now, I think I can speak for Thomas and Grant and say that all of our majors, all of our research opportunities are founded and serve the land-grant mission. And because we only have a few minutes to talk, we're only going to highlight a few of our majors and research opportunities. So I say that just to keep in mind that if there's things that you still want to learn about, we can talk a lot more individually, but these are at least the ones that I wanted to highlight. So by college, we've got over 150 majors all across campus, but I want to highlight these. So to start off with, College of Agriculture, popular majors within that college, animal sciences has several concentrations. The most populated one is the pre-vet track. Another one is fisheries. So depending on who you ask and what year, our fisheries department is actually one of the best, if not the best in the world, not just the state of Alabama or the country, but the entire globe. You've also got within the College of Architecture, Design, and Construction, for example, one of the most established and oldest architecture programs in the Southeast. Our building construction program is a great option for any of you that are interested in, being a foreman or a forewoman, if you will, on a site. So building, but also leading. College of Engineering, Samuel Ginn College of Engineering to be exact. Honestly, it is one of the best in the country, definitely top ranked in the state of Alabama. So the opportunities certainly are limitless. Most populated majors for undergraduate students are mechanical and computer science. Finally, when it comes to colleges, and we'll talk about kind of research opportunities amongst all of these in just a second, is the School of Forestry and Wildlife Sciences. So I want to hit on two of their majors. First, Wildlife Sciences is pre-vet track for a lot of our students, but more on the ecology and preservation side of things. And then another program I want to tell you about, super unique. There's only two in the country, and Auburn has one of them. It's called Wildlife Enterprise Management. So if any of you are interested in owning a business that is focused on wildlife or ecotourism, so think like a hunting lodge or a fishing lodge, Auburn has got that. So you don't have to figure out how to make a major for yourself. It's already built at Auburn with our Wildlife Enterprise Management program. Next up, research. We got a lot of it, but these are at least ones that I wanted to highlight. So starting off with our aquaponics project, this is, and I'm going to read just directly off of their mission statement because it's wordy, but it's good. So it is a transdisciplinary collaborative research, teaching, and extension project. So truly hitting all things land grant. As far as who's involved, you got Tiger Dining, so the food on campus. You've got a Food Systems Institute, the School of Fisheries, like I mentioned a little bit ago, as well as other departments across campus like Biosystems Engineering, Poultry Science, and Horticulture. So this might not sound as exciting when I explain it because I'm probably not doing a good job, but the idea of it is this. We can grow fish and produce in a system. So we use essentially the wastewater from the fish to grow the produce, fruits and veggies, and then the fruits and veggies as they're being grown help to filter the water that can then be recycled to use in different ways. So it's a super sustainable project, and ultimately everybody on campus gets to eat the fish and the produce. And so talk about serving the state, serving the community. We're able to do that farm to table as best as possible and use that technology beyond just the local community. Next up is Rural Studio. This is housed within our College of Architecture, Design, and Construction. So if any of you are interested in architecture, just know that this is a truly world-renowned program. It was established in 1993, and we've got students that are there every semester. So you do a lot of work on the front end in Auburn, and we'll travel to West Alabama, which is a historically underserved part of the state and part of the country for that matter. And students are there every semester through like a hands-on internship experience, both designing and building a building from the ground up. So since 1993, which is longer than any of you have been alive, so close to 30 years, over 200 buildings have been built. And the idea is, regardless of money, regardless of socioeconomic status, everyone deserves to benefit from good design. One project specifically is called 20K Homes. And so it's building homes at the lowest cost possible, $20,000 ideally. And it allows folks who may not otherwise be able to afford to own a home to actually be able to do that, and also an energy efficient home at that. So really, really incredible program that you can get involved with. So if you want to talk about giving back, philanthropic stuff, while also learning design and construction, that meets it all. Next up, Auburn Cyber Research Center. This is huge. I could talk about this for a long time. It's technically housed within our computer science and software engineering department, but it really truly is interdisciplinary. And so if you want to talk about how the land-grant mission is like in the 21st century, the folks at this center will say that it's really cybersecurity, because the reality is we, whether we know it or not, share a lot of information about ourselves as individuals and then as maybe a nation through the internet. And so how do we keep ourselves safe as individuals as well as national security? And that's kind of what it is all about. So the director really speaks to how it's the university, it's our responsibility to help train the workforce, the next generation, sounds like a land-grant mission, to protect everybody. So we've had partnerships with NSA, FFA, the US Armed Forces. We actually, let's see, one of our current projects is working with US Army and CIA to see, where are their vulnerabilities in their defense systems, where there's air or missile or even AI-based defense systems. And we also have a 2018 Rhodes Scholar who was heavily involved in this research center, and he was also involved in a related student organization called the Ethical Hacking Club. So it's how can you learn to be a good hacker so that you can, fight the bad hackers. That's the best way I can explain it. Clearly, I'm not a computer scientist, but lots of good options at Auburn. Next up, also within the College of Engineering, is our National Center for Additive Manufacturing Excellence. Technically, we're housed within mechanical, industrial, and systems engineering, but really, really broad. So the idea is it's like 3D printing, but on steroids. So that's the best way I can explain it short and sweet, is what is additive engineering or manufacturing engineering. But doing things like 3D printing and manufacturing of mechanical parts as well as biomedical parts. So I'll hit on both of those. So if you didn't know, the state of Alabama is rich with automotive industry. You can also, the reason why is our property taxes are really, really low. So companies like Honda, Hyundai, Toyota, Mercedes-Benz all have plants here. So it's a huge workforce. So if we can make that industry better with additive manufacturing, that will benefit so many people in our state. We've also got partnerships with NASA to help their Space Launch Center, as well as GE Aviation. We actually just recently got a $5.2 million grant from NASA to develop liquid rocket engines. And then when it comes to biomedical parts, for those of you that are interested in biomedical research or maybe going to med school, but in a different route, this could be a great thing to get involved with. 3D printing of like internal implants for humans. And then also, this is really exciting for me as an animal lover, we have a partnership with our vet school to help create horseshoes that are individualized for the horses. So it's not a one-size-fits-all model for humans or horses or animals. It's all about making everyone's lives better and healing faster. And then finally, for me, the Salon-Dixon Forestry Education Center. It's actually housed in Andalusia, Alabama, which is a couple hours south of Auburn's campus. But just know that, for example, Forestry is the largest industry in the state of Alabama, and also the state is one of the most biodiverse in the country. So this center is a 5,300 acre living laboratory and classroom building essentially. So folks all across the state as well as the country from well-renowned universities will come here to learn more about forestry, waterways, and wildlife. So with that, that's just a brief touch on all things Auburn, and I will pass it off to Grant at Mississippi State.
Thank you, Katie. So as Katie mentioned in both her history lesson, but also in her presentation with Auburn, we all are land-grant institutions, and she mentioned earlier that that agriculture and mechanical engineering part kind of came into play. So our original name was Mississippi A&M. We were founded in 1878. Since then, becoming Mississippi State University because we've become a little bit more comprehensive in terms of the degree programs and majors that we offer to students. We are a top 100 Carnegie research institution, so I definitely will be hitting on some of those research opportunities a little bit later on. We are located in Starkville, Mississippi. So if you do not know where Starkville, Mississippi is, it is about 2 hours north of our state capital of Jackson, Mississippi, 2 hours west of Birmingham, Alabama, and 3 hours south of Memphis, Tennessee. So you're surrounded, as Katie said, similarly by 3 larger areas that you can easily access from our college town. We are a rural area, so please do not get us confused with being urbanized or even a suburban area. We are definitely a college town. But to that, we are a top 25 college town voted in the United States. So that's working for us. Right now, in terms of student population, we are at about 23,000 students on our campus, and a little over 18,000 of those are undergraduate students. So we have a lot of opportunities for students to get involved. We have over 400 student organizations that students can get acclimated and network with to get involved, and statistically proven students are to be more successful if they're involved in at least one student organization. So we definitely encourage you to do that, whether it be something lighter that's more fun or a research opportunity. So next, what I'm going to kind of hit on are some of our different academic majors, and then we will just work through some of those research components just like Katie did. Being that we're land-grant institutions, we felt like that was super important during this presentation. So what we will do is start with our academic colleges. As I said earlier, we have over 180 different majors, so there are a lot of options for you guys. First, we have the College of Agricultural and Life Sciences. So a few of the most popular majors within this academic college specifically are agronomy, animal and dairy sciences, food science, nutrition, horticulture, and poultry sciences. So you do have a lot of opportunities there. And on the life sciences component, biochemistry and fashion design and merchandising are some of those most popular. To continue on, we have our College of Architecture, Art, and Design. And some of our most popular majors there are, of course, architecture. We have graphic design, building construction science, and interior design. These are all studio-based programs, so you definitely, as starting out your freshman year, you claim your studio space and it's yours for the next 4 or 5 years. So we definitely encourage students who are visual learners and hands-on learners to definitely think about this as an avenue and opportunity for you. Next, we have our James Worth Bagley College of Engineering. So we have pretty much anything and everything in engineering, just like my colleagues here, just because that is one of our pillars and missions as a land-grant institution. And so we offer things from aerospace engineering to biomedical, civil, computer science, electrical, mechanical, and petroleum, just to name a few. And so moving forward, we're going to talk a little bit about our College of Forest Resources. So there are some various different majors that are encompassed in this academic college. Different things like forestry, environmental conservation, sustainable bioproducts, wildlife fisheries, and aquaculture. So a very wide array of options for you. So we definitely just encourage you to make sure you're exploring some of those. We also have a College of Veterinary Medicine. It is a postgraduate program, but we do have a lot of majors that provide students the opportunity to be on the right track to be considered as a viable candidate for those. And so what we're going to kind of do now, we do have some more academic colleges, but again, those are just the ones that are specifically tailored to our mission as a land-grant institution. And so now we're just going to kind of walk through some of these research opportunities, and that way you can just kind of be educated in some of the things that maybe we're doing, similar to that of Katie just mentioned at Auburn. So first, I'm going to talk about the USDAARS Jamie Whitten Research Center. try to say that 3 times fast. So first, this center does a lot with food research, agricultural research, and Mississippi State has been conducting research for over 20 years, specifically being ranked a top 5% for agricultural and natural resources for development. And we currently are the international leader among partnering universities around the world that have band together to help eradicate hunger and poverty. So our university president's mission is to eradicate hunger and to decrease that throughout the world. The USDA Agricultural Research Service is helping to, we're partnering with them to help enhance food safety and the quality of farm products like catfish, seafood, fresh produce, different things like that. So I don't know about you guys, but I definitely want to make sure that we are eating things that are safe for us and the quality is there. So it's a very important aspect that we just like to encourage things for students to get involved with. Next, we have the BOST Extension Centers. So Katie mentioned in her little brief history lesson about the extension centers that we can provide. And we actually have extension centers throughout every county in the state of Mississippi. And they do this to help be connected right there on the ground with each community throughout the state for agricultural research and access. Next, we're going to talk about the Small Town Center, the Fred Carl Jr. Small Town Center. This is basically an advocate for meaningful design for small towns. So our architecture students, our building construction scientists are coming together and they're helping to provide planning and design services to communities and conduct some of that research that seeks to provide solutions to problems faced by communities across the nation. So they're not just doing things with communities here in Mississippi, but just across the nation. So they could be doing something close to you guys in Ohio, who knew? Next, we're going to talk about our Entrepreneurship Research Center. So this is housed in our College of Business, but it is widely open to every major across campus. I just like to mention it because we are number 6 ranked for entrepreneurship research worldwide. And so if you have an idea, you definitely can take that to the Entrepreneurship Research Center. It's very similar to Shark Tank, except we call it Dog Tank because we are the Bulldogs. And if they help, and if they believe in the idea, they will pitch, they will provide you the capital to start that up with a 0% return. So we have some CEOs walking around on our campus and it's pretty awesome. It makes me feel just a little inferior. Next, I'm going to talk about the Raspet Flight Research Laboratory. That is housed within our College of Engineering. So the National Center of Excellence for Federal Aviation Administration is working with Mississippi State to write the rulebook for unmanned aircraft systems, aka drones. We are the lead research institution in the country for drone research, and it's just becoming a part of our daily lives. They're using it in agriculture, they're using it in different businesses like with Amazon. So it's really cool to kind of be on the front end of some of that as we see some of that coming to the surface. We also offer the nation's 4th fastest academic supercomputer. It's a lot of fancy words. As Katie said, I am not a computer scientist, so I'm not going to pretend to be. But we are one of the only few universities in the United States to hold every academic certification within our computer science program, and that was deemed to us by the National Security Agency. Next, I'm going to talk about the Center for Advanced Vehicular System, affectionately known as CAVS. So this encompasses all of our engineering students and some majors outside of our engineering students as well. So a few projects they're working on are developing the car of the future. Basically, it's a greener hybrid that's leading the way to energy dependence. So they are looking to build and structure vehicles to where they are strictly running off energy instead of fuel. We also have a competition team. It's our EcoCar team. It's a diverse student-led organization that develops future leaders in engineering, but also the entrepreneurship side of engineering. And so they design, build, market fuel-efficient and eco-friendly vehicles. They have been one of 16 North American universities in the past 7 years that have been asked to compete in the EcoCar competition. And so it's a vehicle that gets 118 miles per gallon. So, and this is a bunch of 18 to 23-year-olds. So that's just mind blowing to me in general. Next, I'm going to talk about our Fish Innovation Lab. This is within our College of Forest Resources. So this is working the research findings have shown that aquaculture will produce most of the fish consumed by humans in the future. And so through knowledge and education, the Fish Innovation Lab's mission is to drive the development of sustainable growth models to feed more people and enhance global food security. So Again, they're doing that on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi to make sure that we do not run out of food. So that's awesome. And then lastly, I want to hit on the Center for Human Wildlife Conflicts. As you guys know, we've had wildlife obviously forever, and so we are seeing a lot of different things in terms of climate change and different conflicts that are coming up. And we also have that within our wildlife system. And so this center is working to find resolutions for conflicts through research, education, and outreach. So some hot topics that they're trying to conduct some research on now that are concerning are wild hogs, Asian carp, and avian influenza. So those are just some interesting facts for you guys. Again, those are just a few opportunities in terms of research with those academic colleges here at Mississippi State. And now I'm going to hand it over to my good friend, Mr. Thomas, with The Ohio State University.
Thank you, Grant and Katie. And I just want to say, if you haven't learned a lot already, I'm not sure you're taking the right notes. I'm sure that you've been screenshotting, taking pictures of the information that we've been giving to you. So with Ohio State, I'm going to give you a little bit of information as well. And that is Ohio State. Here's a pop quiz for you. Did you know what Ohio State University's original name was founded as a land-grant institution? I know you probably said the answer. I can't hear you, so I'm just going to keep talking. And that is, as it was founded as Ohio Agricultural and Mechanical College. So you kind of heard that theme between Grant and Katie already, but Ohio State was founded as Ohio Agricultural and Mechanical College. That name was founded in 1870, and then the name changed to the Ohio State University in 1878. As you guys know, Ohio State's located in Columbus, Ohio. You may not have known that we are an urban area, and you see the enrollment numbers there. And so we are very large, one of the largest institutions across the country. And some majors, we have more than 200 majors and 500 minor specializations and tracks, all located housed within 16 colleges and schools. Majors within the College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences lives our Department of Food, Agricultural, and Biological Engineering, which has made many contributions to agriculture and the world around us. Like the laser beam automatic grade control system, say that a lot, that created a plane of laser light to control several subsurface digging machines at once. As a land-grant institution, research, and not just any kind or level of research, but the highest level of research, is critical to all of our missions. We have some of the best at Ohio State, some of the best research facilities in the country. For example, in our Ohio Agricultural Research and Development Center located in Worcester, Ohio, about an hour and a half northeast of Columbus, we have a number of centers and labs. And as the first one is that you see there, the Carbon Management and Sequestration Center. Wow. It conducts research on the best methods for reducing atmospheric CO2 through sustainable land management practices. Simultaneously, this program the center investigates strategies to enhance food security, improve water use efficiency, and reduce poverty. The Center for Applied Plant Sciences, scientific teams that span the continuum between basic research and practical solutions to challenges in 4 main strategic areas: photosynthesis and carbon fixation, biomass and bioproducts, crop improvement and functional foods, and plant microbe interactions. Next is the Plant and Animal Agro-Security Research Facility. This facility is amazing. It is a highly secure biocontainment building. It is required by federal law for conducting research with organisms that cause diseases in animals classified at biosafety level 3. You don't have to worry about how those names are. It's just important that we have to say it. This facility will be the only facility in Ohio and one of 2 nationally with the capacity for both plant and animal research at this level 3 safety levels. Now we have the Soil, Water, and Environment Lab, providing research quality data to Ohio State and other university research researchers, students, and outside agencies. The Soil, Water, and Environment Lab can expand your research capabilities in soil, water, plant, and other agricultural and environmental testing. We also offer training for students and researchers who wish to perform their own analysis in our facilities. Then we have the Wetland Research Park. And now the real name is the Wilma H. Sharmire Olentangy River Wetland Research Park. I am not going to make you say that fast, and I'm only going to say it to you once. It is a large-scale aquatic research facility located along the northern edge of the Ohio State University's Columbus campus, which is where I am. This 52-acre urban research site is situated adjacent to the Olentangy River. Some things I wanted to highlight about the university as a whole is that there are two premier undergraduate programs for incoming students, for undergraduate students, and that is the Honors and Scholars Program and the Moral Scholarship Program. Within the Honors and Scholars Program, it is for students who are seeking an enhanced academic experience, and then within the Moral Scholars Program, these are students that are interested in social justice and diversity-based leadership, so we like to always highlight that. In terms of other majors that have a competitive admissions process, we have our nationally ranked Fisher College of Business, our nationally ranked College of Engineering, Public Health, and the College of Nursing. And I like to talk about how students get involved with our more than 1,400 clubs and organizations. So I always like to tell my students that when you are a Buckeye here and you choose to text your parents over the weekend that there's nothing to do, you are absolutely lying, because there is tons of things to do on campus and around the wonderful city of Columbus, which is the 14th largest city in the country. So we have all given you a lot of information. Katie at Auburn, Grant at Mississippi State, and myself with Ohio State University. And I hope that you have received some major takeaways. I know that, like I said, many students that enroll in college don't even know that they're at a land-grant institution. So we hope that we've been able to enlighten you, not just about the three of us, and also about what it means to just be a land-grant institution as a whole. And Grant, you can transition to the next slide there. And we want to make sure we give you the opportunity. We have just under 10 minutes or so to address any questions that you may have about any three of the institutions that you want to know about: Auburn, Mississippi State, or myself at the Ohio State University. So I will stop talking and give you a few moments or so to ask your questions.
Okay, so I'm going to look. There is one question, and it comes from Morgan. So I'm going to send this to Katie, and they are just asking about admissions, how you guys are handling admissions. And so we can all speak to this if you guys want, but handling admissions and dealing with COVID-19 and testing options.
Perfect. Thanks so much. So we are, I think the biggest thing, the word of the year, as I like to say at Auburn, is flexibility. So we are test flexible this year, meaning that if you've got a test score that you think would add to your file in a strong way, that could be the supplemental document that you submit. If not, we got three other options for you to choose from. So basically we've got 4 supplemental document options that you can choose from. You pick one and only one. So it could be that test score if you like, but we don't have a preference for those, to be clear. The 3 other options include a graded writing assignment, really getting at, can you write, revise, and think critically? The next option is an expanded resume, in the sense that you can expand upon the things you've been most passionate about or where you see that you've grown the most as a leader. And then the last one of the 4 is an AP or IB score report. So that's the supplemental doc. You pick one of 4. You also, of course, will have to apply either through our website or through the Common App. And then, of course, sending us your transcript, an unofficial copy at the point of application. We also have several different dates and deadlines. The biggest thing that I'll tell you is that December 1st will be a really good date for all of you to keep in mind as far as an application file completion dates, that you can be able to hear back from us before our scholarship application deadline of February 1st. But lots of other dates and deadlines that we can talk about individually. So thank you so much for that question. I'll pass it off to the next one.
I guess that would be me. At Ohio State this year, we are test optional for the current senior class. And so that means spring 21, summer 21, and autumn 21, we are test optional. And what that means is we are a Common App institution. And so on the Common Application, that will be the only time you can inform the university that you wish to have your scores used or not. So it's really important that before you hit submit on the Common Application is that you've timed it, you've made a very timely decision in regards to how Ohio State will use your test scores or not. So you can't select no today, submit the Common Application, and then maybe you take the test again and you like that score, then you want to submit that. We will not be able to have those scores added to your record. So we feel that if you believe that your test score is competitive, you are happy with that test score, by all means provide that to the university, because we utilize the holistic review, which means that there will never be one single criterion that will get a student admitted or denied. So if you choose not to provide your test score, that is quite all right. We still have other things within the application that we will use to review and make an admissions decision. And I will pass it over to Grant.
So at Mississippi State University, we do not require test scores for the purpose of admissions evaluation, but we do require it in terms of academic scholarships and merit-based scholarships. But you're allowed to give us that test score throughout the academic school year. We do practice rolling admissions, so you can apply today, you can apply next month, you can apply in June if you would like to come next fall. So we do practice rolling admissions, more holistic review rather than just the standard. But again, we are not requiring test scores specifically for admissions evaluation. Next, we have another question coming in from Ray, and Ray is asking, how are your students dealing with on-campus accommodations given COVID-19?
I can start. So I'm sure I speak for all institutions in that we've tried to be really thoughtful and really safe, but try to keep everything as normal as possible because we're all craving some normalcy. And so I think that will just continue on at Auburn for as long as we need it to be. But as far as just an example of what we're doing, housing has a lot more safety protocols in place, but I will say move-in day looked pretty similar, just a lot more masks and a lot more social distancing. But we got students on campus and they seem to be thriving and learning even in the midst of this pandemic. But lots of safety standards in place. But if you're interested in living on campus, that's definitely an option. And we can talk more about the application process for that. But from a pandemic perspective, it's all about safety and maintaining social distancing and wearing those masks and keeping you safe and healthy as possible, both in buildings and on campus grounds.
In keeping with the order, at Ohio State University, the health and safety of our faculty, staff, and students is number one. And so we have each faculty, staff, and student was given a PPE kit, and that included 3 masks. One was disposable, a hand sanitizer, and a thermometer, electronic digital thermometer. So we wanted to make sure that all students and faculty and staff, if they are going to be on campus, they are going to monitor their own symptoms and check in, if you will. And so the university has a dashboard that we are tracking all of the health and safety of our faculty, staff, and students. And we're very proud of our social distancing measures that we put into play. Even though our faculty and students are back on campus, many of my colleagues and I serving as staff, we are still at home because just the university can still operate 100% in this capacity. So we are very proud of the measures that we have put into place to meet the health and safety of our faculty, staff, and students.
So at Mississippi State, similarly to Katie and Thomas at both respective institutions, we are practicing CDC guidelines and encouraging students of their civic duty just to think of their neighbor and different things of that nature. So definitely working to have things under wraps, but again, also trying to not stop the spread.
Well, thank you all to our presenters. I apologize if there are more questions that are coming in, but we are right at the 45-minute mark. So I just want to close out with saying thank you, students and counselors, for joining us this afternoon. That was some great information. I also want to remind you that we do have some additional sessions coming up in the next couple weeks, so we encourage you to go to oacac.org to sign up for those. If you are interested in seeing the recording, please also go to oacac.org. And also, after I close out the webinar today, a short survey will pop up, and we would ask that you please complete that so we can make sure that we continue to do these sessions better and better each time for you. So thank you all for joining us, and I hope you all have a great afternoon.